Welcome to this full training. This is the flow state formula for how to build a fan base in 180 days, the full blueprint. Let's get straight into it. This is the updated playbook that first got me engagement and momentum. Now I'm using it to grow a loyal fan base and build a career as a full-time artist. Today, great music isn't enough. With the noise on socials and streaming platforms, attention is harder than ever to earn. Most won't make it because most won't do the work. Most marketing advice is generic and written by people who aren't artists. This blueprint is designed to remove friction and allow you to continually build momentum with every release. What I hope changes for you. You stop dropping music into the void, and that these frameworks give you the foundation and direction required to achieve your goals as an artist. We've got a little overview. First up, we're going to look into artist strategy, which is artist story and audience avatar and what those are. Rollout strategy, so rollout story and meta narratives, rollout phases, and then content strategy. What song-centered versus artist-centered content is and how to apply it into making your content, and then some final words to end it off. So section 1, artist strategy. On social media, most artists fall into 3 groups. Aspiring, they either lack talent and or strategy and constantly struggle for attention. Viral, can catch a hit but lack the deeper substance, which means they fail to keep fans coming back. And the Titans, they build worlds around their music which allows space for their audiences to find their own place in it. The difference maker? Story. Humans are innately interested in stories. It's the number one tool we've used to remember and document an incredible amount of detail. Narratives create structure, and structure helps you internalize messages. Content feels hollow, and rollouts fall flat without it. Everything we do at Flow State revolves around what we call your artist story and your audience avatar. This is who you are, why you do what you do, and who you do it for. Without this story, many artists feel lost, burnt out, and aren't getting the engagement that they could be. Most artists fail not because their music isn't good enough, but because they've skipped the step of defining who they are, what they stand for, and who they're here to serve. If you don't know your own story, you can't expect an audience to. Here's the truth. Your story is your gold. It's the unique combination of experiences, struggles, and perspectives that no one else can copy. Your fans are a reflection of you. The people most likely to connect with your music are either going through or have gone through what you're expressing. Beliefs build movements. In a world of AI-made songs and copy-paste artists, your values and flaws are the unfair advantage that separate you from the noise. So what's your artist story? Your artist story is the narrative that explains who you are, what shaped you, and why you make music. It's the through line that connects your personal experiences to your art, and it gives your audience a reason to care beyond just the sound. Your artist story is also known as artist journey, artist narrative, brand story, origin story, or your why statement. And what's your audience avatar? Your audience avatar is a detailed profile of the specific type of listener your music is for. It's usually based on a past version of yourself, what they struggle with, what they value, how old they are, and where they spend their time online. You can use this information to speak directly to them in your music and content. Your audience avatar is also known as your target audience, listener profile, your ideal fan, fan persona, or audience identity. The artist story and audience avatar framework. Part 1. Who are you? Most people have lived a life and already have a story, but for the most insecure of us who sometimes don't believe what we have to say is worth saying, this method allows you to pull that value out of yourself. The people who need to hear your message are counting on you. The following steps are going to be tackled with the following ChatGPT prompt. Take your time to complete this thoroughly. The more you provide, the better it will be. Prompt for ChatGPT. I want you to discover my artist story and audience avatar based on my real life experiences so that I can better connect with my audience and create meaningful content. Help me excavate key periods of my life by asking the following questions and then helping me reflect on the patterns. Once we go through that, I want to build a clear artist vision statement and identify who my ideal audience is based on my past experiences and struggles. Start by asking me about each significant stage in my life in order to gather all the necessary information. Please lay out all the questions so I can fill them in freely. Once we've explored this, summarize the following for me. A clear 3 to 4 sentence artist story, what I'm here to do and why it matters. A comprehensive profile of my audience avatar, including who they are, how old they are, what they care about, what they hate, how they talk, do they work, are they in school, man or woman or both, relationship status and dynamic, upbringing, where they hang out online, aka the past version of me I'm most equipped to help. And then 3 to 5 core emotional themes that I can naturally speak to. I just threw that in there so you have kind of something to work with straight away, whether it be for content or even writing songs. Part 2, consolidating artist story and audience avatar. Make sure you take note of the information that you've excavated with ChatGPT. This exercise should bring you clarity about who you are, what you're trying to do, and who you're trying to help. In human psychology, most of the information we communicate is nonverbal, facial expression, body language, etc. So when you have the opportunity to be in front of a potential fan and you're unsure of who you are, what your message is, or what you're trying to do, your uncertainty will kill your credibility before you even finish your first sentence. You need to understand your artist story and audience avatar innately. And remember, it doesn't stop here. You'll continue to grow as a person, so your artist story and audience avatar will grow with you. These pillars are a reflection of you, not some arbitrary label, and any doubt or lack of resonance with them will stall progress, kill results, and eventually lead to burnout. Rehearse, memorize, and internalize your artist story and audience avatar like a set list until it becomes automatic. This is your North Star, and it will help you make clear decisions quickly. Pro tip, when to revisit your artist story and audience avatar. Quarterly or every 3 months, just to check if the story still feels true to where you're at. Again, after any noticeable change or growth, a shift in sound, mindset, or lifestyle means your story and avatar should evolve too. Or when something just feels off. If content feels forced or disconnected, it's a sign your story or avatar needs refreshing. Warning, if you skip this, you'll keep dropping tracks without a foundation and they'll get ignored. Your story is what makes rollout, contents, and even your music click. We help artists go deeper, excavate your story, sharpen your vision, and align your sound so every release becomes more than a drop. It becomes a movement. If you want to go further, continue the process with ChatGPT or reach out for a one-on-one strategy session. Section 2, rollout strategy. A rollout is more than a drop date. It's the art of building momentum before, during, and after release. Without intention, each release won't flow, and you'll keep starting from scratch. Fans can't buy into something they can't follow, so stop dropping random tracks and start weaving them into the bigger picture of who you are. Old versus new philosophy. How I used to release music. Make the song, schedule the release, post a few lip sync videos, and then repeat. I assumed the music spoke for itself. It didn't. The context was missing. The result was flat engagement, I lost momentum, and eventually burnout. How I approach it now. I tell the story and not just promote the song. Each release is a chapter in the book, not the whole book, which means less pressure on each drop, more enjoyment creating content, and more depth for fans. Rollout equals storytelling, not just marketing. So what's a song narrative? Your song narrative is the story behind a single track. It explains what the song means, why you made it, and why it matters to your audience right now. It's the emotional hook that gives context to the music and turns a release into something fans can connect with. Also known as your track story, song concept, single narrative, or chapter story. And what's a meta narrative? Your meta narrative is the biggest story that connects multiple songs into one larger arc. Instead of random drops, it weaves every track into a journey fans can follow, building momentum and meaning over time. Your meta narrative can also be known as your campaign narrative, a release arc, your artist season, or rollout story. The practical link between these two, your song narrative is the chapter. It's the why this matters emotionally to me, and it ties back to your artist story. The meta narrative is the book. It's how this connects to the bigger journey and ties back to your audience avatar because it mirrors the struggles that they're living. When you view your music this way, distribution becomes an extension of your art. The part most artists dread, marketing, becomes another creative outlet. Example song narratives. These are the song narratives I created with the help of ChatGPT for my current rollout, highlighting key themes and what each song means. Track 1, hardest part with RJ, the resistance. Song narrative. The hardest part of chasing your dreams is having the courage to try, despite those closest to you not believing in you. Track 2, pressure with verse, the breaking point. Song narrative. Demoralized from the setbacks, but still fighting. Constant pressure from loved ones and the battles in your mind with every failure. Feeling behind, working so hard, but yet still so far from your goals. Track 3, Run It Up with RJ. The comeback. Song narrative. Finally starting to make some progress. The pain has resulted in character growth and strength has been recovered. Triumphant rebound, abundant mindset, you can't stop me energy. Track 4, Hold It Down with Ikatana. Song narrative. Recognizing that you are your own worst critic. The only person who's going to have your back is you, and that ultimately means the power is in your hands. Reflecting and grounding, feminine/masculine duality. Track 5, Every Decision with RJ, the acceptance. Song narrative. Fight with the devil on every decision. Fighting with temptation at every step of the process. The thought of taking a shortcut, an easy road, or giving up is ever present, but you embrace the weight of responsibility steadfast. Example meta narrative. This is the meta narrative I created with the help of ChatGPT for my current rollout, threading each chapter into one larger arc. This rollout tells the story of a fight for a dream against doubt, pressure, and setbacks. It begins with the resistance of chasing a vision no one else believes in, then hits the breaking point where failure and constant pressure almost crushes the spirit. From there comes the comeback. Strength rebuilt, progress earned, and unstoppable energy regained. The journey closes with balance and acceptance, realizing that the fight is with yourself, that every decision carries weight, and that owning that responsibility is what turns struggle into legacy. Bro, that's fire. A meta-narrative helps fans follow a journey. It opens the door for next season momentum instead of everything dying after one drop. When I used this approach for Hardest Part, it gave me clearer content ideas, tied each track together, and resulted in the most engagement and feedback on consecutive releases. Before this, everything felt disjointed and meaningless. The meta-narrative fixed that. Rollout phases and what happens. 4 weeks out, pre-rollout. Goal: map the journey and lock in logistics. What happens? Decide how upcoming songs connect into the meta narrative. Lock in the release schedule and upload to streaming services. 2 weeks out, build up begins. Goal: start building anticipation. What happens? You're creating all the content ready for release. Drop light teasers and pitch to playlists. 1 week out, final prep. Goal: turn anticipation into hype. What happens? Confirm posting schedule, finalize content, ramp up engagement to make fans feel involved in the countdown, release first proper snippet or the release date. Release week, launch. Goal: maximize impact and presence. What happens? Release day and the days following are about visibility, interaction, and energy. 1 to 2 weeks post, sustain in transition. Goal: keep momentum alive while preparing for the next chapter. What happens? Reflect on the release, your plan, feedback from fans and analytics, then redirect focus towards the next drop and keep the story flowing. Section 3, content strategy. Congratulations, you've made it to the land of content creator. Many artists get here and give up, but we're only just getting warmed up. In this section, we're going to break down how to use your artist story, audience avatar, and your meta narrative to create content that resonates. But first, consistency is the name of the game. These are the mental frameworks that have kept me going for over 5 years. Use them and adapt them to fit your own process. Content is art. Social media is where most of us spend our time. Like it or not, it's the best place to promote. But don't treat your video like ads. Treat them as a visual extension of what a song means. Because at the end of the day, all we're trying to do is spread a message. You can see content as a chore, or you can see it as an extension of your art. One makes it miserable, the other does not. If you accept that making content is a part of getting where you want to go, you might as well learn to love it. The road to success is often boring and painful, but every post is one step closer. If you never stop, eventually you will succeed. So why not treat it like a game? Be intentional with your inputs and you will shorten the distance to your goal. See it as a chance to connect with the fans that you might never meet otherwise. Keep it casual, like talking to a friend on FaceTime. Each post is a mini update. Couple of examples here. Here's a track I just dropped. Here's what I'm working on this week. I have a show next week, pull up. That frame keeps it from feeling like begging for attention. Instead, it feels like extending an arm for mutual benefit. If you put yourself out there, people will resonate. You can be the person saying, watch me figure this out, or here's what I'm struggling with, let's solve it together. Both create real engagement and buy-in. With this mindset in place, you're ready to move from theory to practice. Next, we'll look at how to balance artist-centered and song-centered content through each phase of a rollout. Song-centered versus artist-centered content. Song-centered content is always tied directly to a specific track. And there are 4 main frameworks. The first is story-driven. A couple of examples like talking head or interviews or why I wrote the song type videos. This gives your music meaning. Without context, a track is just noise in a crowded feed. Fans connect when they understand why you wrote it, what it represents, and how it ties into your bigger story. Skip this and your music has no emotional anchor. Studio-driven. BTS, collabs, or process clips. Deepens connection and builds authority. The music making process itself creates attachment. If you give your audience a peek into the creation, they'll have a deeper connection for the finished product. Most people have no idea what goes into a song, so pulling back the curtain makes them appreciate your craft and see your expertise in action. Spotlight driven. For example, a finished snippet, live performance, or polished visuals. The payoff. It's the performance moment, this is the song moment. Without showing the finished product, the journey never has a climax. And without the climax, there's no reason for people to care about the story or the process in the first place. Back catalog tie-ins, resurfacing old songs in context, tour footage, anniversary posts or fan reactions. These posts aren't typically used in the rollout of a new track unless it's directly relevant to the current meta narrative. However, callbacks and direct references to your discography can highlight the depth for your new audience members. Together, these 3 create a self-contained loop. Story builds anticipation, studio builds intimacy, and spotlight delivers the climax. Leave one out and the loop breaks. Pitfalls to avoid. Story. Don't be inauthentic or stuck on one mood. Always give context so people care. Studio. Avoid rinsing the same format. Switch up angles and moments. Don't overshare. And also don't overshare, because mystery still has value. And spotlight. It's easy to make and easy to spam. Limit to highlights, always add value. I usually shoot way more, edit them down, and only post the good ones. Artist-centered content. This is about you and your world beyond just one track. There are 3 types. Identity-driven, which can be about your beliefs, values, and lifestyle. It shows people who you are beyond the music. Your values, personality, humor, and worldview are what turn casual listeners into real fans. Without this, your brand is faceless, and there's no reason to stick around when the music stops. Next one's journey-driven. These are the struggles, lessons, and the what I'm working on type videos. These document your growth and struggle, wins, setbacks, lessons learned. It's the behind the scenes reality of being an artist. This creates relatability. Fans don't just see the finished product, they see the human process. That's what makes them invest in your long-term story. Community driven, Q&As, fan stitches, collabs, and cultural commentary. It makes the audience a part of the story. Engaging with fans, collabs, reactions, Q&As, and cultural references show that you're not just creating in a vacuum. It proves you tapped in and you value the people who support you. Together, these 3 form a 360 picture of who you are as a person and as an artist. Identity gives the people a reason to care, journey gives them a way to connect, and community gives them a reason to stay. Pitfalls to avoid. For your identity, don't have these posts dominate your feed. This does depend on what phase you're in, but keep it tied to the music or just post it on a separate page. Journey. Share struggles with purpose and not just trauma dumps. Context matters. And community. Don't just chase random trends or collabs just for views. Make sure they align with you authentically. If you're not sure, just reference your artist story and audience avatar. All right, and this is how to apply it into your content. So there are 5 steps to creating content that actually works: scripting, shooting, editing, posting, and reviewing. It's about applying your artist story, audience avatar, and meta narrative to every piece so it feels intentional. Scripting and shot listing. Know the goal of each piece. Is it to build connection, get shares, or push streams? One goal equals one direction. This is how the approaches can change by pillar. For story and journey-driven content, I like to fully script them and shot list them just so I have more direction. The studio and identity-driven content can be less scripted. Most of it's just documenting or stream of consciousness. It's about what you actually think. You want to be careful of overproducing this. If you do so, it could lose some of its authenticity. And for the spotlight and community-driven stuff, you really only need a loose outline focused on shot types, location, and vibe. Because in these ones, you're either letting the song do the talking or you're interacting with the audience. The level of detail in scripting and shot listing, location, key transitions, movement, and angles. Not every shot needs to be rigid, and it also just depends on the type of content and how deep you want to script it. For idea generation, I use ChatGPT to spitball scripts and angles. Then I rewrite it so it still feels authentic. And deciding whether you deliver the lines straight to camera or use voiceover is usually decided during this stage as well to keep everything cohesive. When it comes to shooting, camera gear, I mostly use a Sony a6400, which is what I'm shooting on right now with a 16mm lens. Your phone's fine for raw, artist-centered content. Polish-centered usually deserves the main camera, but just use what you've got. Not everyone has a camera like that. Or have someone help you shoot it. Batching. Spotlight content is easiest to batch. Story/journey-driven takes more setup, so make sure you block time in your calendar based on the type. Lighting. Avoid harsh midday light. Around sunrise or sunset is best for outdoor shoots. Indoors, controlled lighting helps, but don't overthink it. Some of the best clips come from unplanned moments. Editing. Software. I use Premiere Pro for full flexibility. CapCut and Instagram edits are fine for basic and fast clips, but be careful when using heavy templates, effects, or captions. They look cheap and are overused. Captions. Almost always add them. Many people don't have the sound on. Keep them simple, easy to read, and timed cleanly. Syncing. Use the waveform. Cut clips to kicks, snares, or any other transients. This creates edit dynamics and movement. Polish versus speed. Don't over polish. Better to post a clean cut than an overcook and edit. Done is better than perfect. And repurposing. Start by mastering one platform, whether it be Instagram, TikTok, or another one. While tailoring your content to one platform, feel free to repurpose it on all the others to make the most out of it. When it comes to reviewing, focus on key metrics. Watch time is the most important. Ask yourself, did they make it past the first 3 seconds? Did they make it halfway or through the full video? If you're testing and something flops 2 to 3 times, rework the first 3 seconds. The 2 biggest content killers are a bad idea and or a bad hook. It's much easier to change the hook than to remake it, so I usually just start there. Optional. Use Instagram's trial reel feature to A/B test versions. Content balance by phase. As you progress through different phases of your rollout, you'll need to shift the balance between artist-centered and song-centered posts. Use bridge content to make the transition smooth so fans don't feel like you've switched gears abruptly. Connection phase. 80-20 artist-song. 80% artist, 20% song-centered content. More than 4 weeks out from a release. Goal: keep fans engaged between drops by deepening identity and community. Content mixed, mostly lifestyle, personality, reflections, inspirations, occasional soft reminders of older songs. Some examples are crazy that this dropped a year ago, or this one hits different live, or throwback to the first album or an early project that I did. The next phase is the pre-rollout phase. You'd be about 70% artist and 30% song-centered content. In this phase, this is about 4 weeks out from release. The goal is to seed curiosity and lightly hint at what's coming. It's still mostly artist-centered, but starting to weave in subtle nods to the new track. A couple of examples are, here's what's been inspiring me lately, or cooking something up into the studio, so it'd be like behind the scenes but keep it vague, or a soft spotlight on older tracks if relevant to the upcoming narrative. The next phase is the build-up phase, where you're about 50-50 between artist and song-centered content, and you're about 2 weeks out from release. The goal is to build anticipation and shift focus onto the new track. Your content mix is about even, identity content plus specific teasers and snippets. Some examples could be, this song means X, but here's what I've learned since making it. Or you could do a lyric preview or one strong bar post. And you could do the first proper snippet 2 to 3 days before release. Next phase is the release phase. You're about 20% artist-centered and 80% artist-centered content, and this is in the first week of release. The goal is to maximize the spotlight on the track. And the content mix, the song-centered content dominates, artist-centered only where it gives context. Examples: polished snippets and clips every day, fan stitch challenges, or a story time. Here's how this track almost didn't happen. Wind down phase, about 40% artist and 60% song-centered content. This is about 1 to 2 weeks post-release. The goal is to keep the song alive while smoothly shifting focus back to you. Content mix, slightly more artist-centered again while still spotlighting the new track. You can start to reintroduce back catalog content here slowly as well. Couple of examples: dropped this last week, here's what I learned. Fan reaction reposts, performance highlights, or a process bridge. You could say I'm already cooking the next one. And then bridge content for transitions between phases. Fans don't think in phases, they just feel vibe shifts. Use bridge content to blend so transitions feel natural. A couple of examples of bridge content: if you're moving from the pre-rollout to the build-out phase, you could do a context post, BTS with a 2-second hook, a lyric preview, or a lifestyle tie-in. If you're moving into the build-up to release phase and it's getting more song-centered, you could do the first full snippet, countdowns, or do a comparison between the first demo and the final master. If you're moving out of the release phase into the wind-down phase, you could use a reflection post, behind the lyrics, or fan reaction compilations. And then in the wind-down phase, back into the connection phase where you're moving more heavily into the artist-centered content. You could do some cultural tie-ins, throwbacks with context, or some vault teasers even. If you want help mapping your rollout story or sequencing tracks, reach out and we'll book a session. So how should you do it? Don't overthink the exact ratios, numbers, or bridge content. The specifics are less important. This framework is about being able to be clear with what your content strategy is depending on what phase you're in right now as an artist. Everyone likes to do it a little differently, so here's how to make it your own. Step 1. Outline the skeleton. Structure first. Define your phases. You can use pre, build up, release, wind down, and connection like we did, or completely different ones. It's up to you. And then define the weighting between how much artist versus song-centered content you're going to do in each phase. Next, you define the content staples, which formats to use. The next step is filling your content ideas per phase. Remember, the song-centered content is story, studio, and spotlight driven, and the artist-centered content is identity, journey, and community driven. And then third and final step, you design the transitions. Identify bridge content that shifts tone between phases. Note, if you try to design the transitions first, you'll get stuck because you don't know what you're transitioning between. Structure first, fill, and then bridge. And here's a bare minimum rollout and content checklists. Do this if you already have a release date and just need to get moving. Step 1, define your artist story and audience avatar. Make sure you have at least 2 to 3 finished tracks in the vault. Third, if you haven't already, choose one opener track which has the best story hook or is easiest to promote. Next, do a mini breakdown of each of your 2 to 3 tracks that you chose before and thread them together with a meta narrative. Next, lock in the release date for your other tracks and distribute them at least 3 weeks ahead. Then you want to move on to go into scripting 5 to 7 simple pieces of content so that they're ready before release, a mix of song and artist-centered content. And then a light engagement plan, how you're going to reply to comments, when you're going to post fan reactions, when you're going to drop 1 to 2 snippets beforehand. But this is our recommended strategy if you've got some time and some tracks in the vault. This is the flow state formula, the approach that compounds momentum and doesn't just avoid failure. Start with a vault of 6 to 12 finished bangers, minimum 2 to 3 locked for the next rollout cycle. Define artist story and audience avatar to guide all your messaging. Have your meta narrative mapped across multiple tracks. Have your phase structure mapped out. Connection, pre-rollout, build up, release, wind down, with a rough weighting between artist and song-centered content. Next, fill out your content plan using all 6 pillars: story, studio, spotlight, identity, journey, and community driven. Map bridge content for smooth transitions. Make sure you have at least 14 pieces of content scripted, shot, and scheduled before release day, and then do an analytics review after each release. Make 3 improvements for the next release and start again. Bonus tips. Don't obsess over perfect balance. The ratios are guides, not rules. Always be at least 2 tracks ahead so you don't lose momentum. Also, build a content bank of evergreen artist-centered posts. These are your safety net when the song-centered stuff runs out. When the arc is complete, you can even consolidate singles into a project since the story is already written. Why most artists fail at rollouts. Not enough music prepared, which kills momentum. No clear goal for each release. Poor scheduling and lack of prep time. And pivoting too late or too early. Final note. The music comes first. All the strategies in the world won't save average music. Without an exceptional product, every rollout, every piece of content, and every post will fall flat. The foundation is always the music itself. Everything else just amplifies it. At Flow State, we don't just build strategy, we also help you create the songs that make the strategy worth running in the first place. If you need support on either side, music or rollout, get in touch and we'll get you moving. I hope this guide brought you value and happy creating. Peace.